Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Welcome on into the Johnnie Bobbo Show right here on LateNightSportsRadio.com on your Spreaker app. I am Johnny Maloris Jr. of 87sportsfans.com, and I can say that proudly because I've written things. So I got to get... Yeah, you got it. And we have Keith Grieve. That was our man in the production shop. Keith Grieve of 87sportsfans.com and Bob Sullivan, our man of No Coast Bias. How are you? How you fellas doing tonight? Bobby, doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing well. My basketball team, we were up by 10 in the first half, got down by 10 in the second half, and came back and won by 5. So it was a whirlwind on the basketball court tonight. We pulled out the W.
That sounds great. And now I have to ask, only because I've seen something. It's not posted on Facebook, which is strange because today is Friends Day. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen the hashtag, I think it's Facebook's birthday or something like that. But is it not also Mr. Keith Grieve's birthday?
No.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's not my birthday today.
It's not. Are you sure about that?
It's not my birthday.
I can't just call you.
It's not my birthday today.
Are we sure? Are we sure about this?
It's not my birthday.
I'm pretty sure that I saw you post something thanking people.
I did.
It's not my birthday today.
Oh, okay, so it's coming up
No,
soon.
it's the
You don't
third.
have.
It was the third.
I have no idea.
It was
the third. It was yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Well, happy birthday, sir.
Hey, thanks.
I don't know this stuff. I didn't see it on the interwebs. That's my fault. I don't check those birthday things though. You know what I mean? Like I'll get the birthdays, but unless like they're in my calendar, there's very few that I can just remember off the top of my head.
Somehow Bob got it okay. He tweeted me happy birthday.
He did.
See, such a nice guy. You tweeted him? You didn't send him a text or something?
No, that's fine. I'm a digital guy. That's all I need.
He's in the digital age, Johnny. You're just gonna have to learn to deal with that.
That's fine. That's fine. Well, happy belated birthday, sir. I'm sorry I missed that. I feel like a jerk.
It's all right. It's my 40th. I'm really not all that excited about it.
It's your what, man? What are you doing to your mic?
That's not me.
I know, Bob getting crazy over there or what?
I don't know. That was not me. Maybe it was.
Yes, that was
That's you.
That's
Good
great.
start.
That's great. You know who it was?
Right.
You know who it was? It was Brian Windhorse.
Oh, that fat ass.
Yeah, well, you know what? Okay, well, here's the deal. I know you haven't gotten enough Super Bowl analysis yet, so what we're doing tonight, we're going to bring in Eric Edholm of Yahoo Sports and 120 Sports Football Fix Show. He's going to dig into the first meeting between the Denver Broncos and the Carolina Panthers since 2012 to explain how he expects Wade Phillips to prepare his defense to constrict the prowess of Mr. Cam Newton. Cam Newton, he is quite the giant man. And let me ask you this, Bob. Did you take offense to him kind of getting salty about having to answer the same damn question for the 100th time the other day?
No. Cam Newton's going to be... I kind of have a feeling he's going to be one of those people like Bob Gibson or, once their career's over, they just check out of the public spotlight because the media just wore him down. Now, Bob Gibson had to deal with far more, I guess, to-your-face racism. Cam, I feel like, is dealing with it from,
It's like backhanded stuff.
Yeah, backhanded stuff. And I don't think it's 100% race-based hate, but I don't think him being black helps him as far as people liking him. And that's what I just said probably sounds horrible, but I'm just saying there still is a lot of racist people out there.
Yeah.
And if he was look at Gronk. Like, everybody loves Gronk. If Gronk was a black tight end, Do you think he'd be getting as many free passes, as he gets? And I really don't think he would.
Yeah, today it was on Deadspin. He was grinding with somebody's co-host on one of their shows. I forgot who it was, but I'm not going to start assuming names. I don't want you to start screaming at people and add to your apology for the end of the show. But what we're going to do then in the second half, the second hour to kick it off, 2016 Johnnie Bobbo Show debut of Mr. Fantasy Football expert Jim Saranteas. He's going to describe his level of confidence in Peyton Manning against the interception-savvy Panthers defense. And then he's going to expound on his pick on the Fantasy Greek Super Bowl 50 Writers Predictions post. And now I was involved in that post. Bob, I'm assuming you weren't because you don't write things very often. And what about you, Keith? I didn't get a chance to scroll through the whole thing. Were you on that list?
I missed the deadline.
You missed the deadline. How the hell did you do that? Were you too busy celebrating your birthday?
I wasn't. I haven't written anything in a while. I'm gonna write. I'm gonna write my 87 Sports Fans Super Bowl preview Saturday night, so it's ready Sunday morning. I just haven't wrapped my brain around the Super Bowl yet. I think there's too much pre-week hype. I'm just gonna wait until the last minute and just bang out one phenomenal Super Bowl prediction.
Man, that's cool. I'm going to be posting another article. I've posted consecutive days now. This is 3 in a row with the post. I did the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Cleveland Indians, Philadelphia Phillies. You got it.
It's rather impressive.
Well, I got the Cardinals coming up tomorrow, and then the Giants after that. So I'm basically rolling in order of teams reporting to camp. So I'm going to break down. It's a short breakdown, but it gives you kind of a good insight as to kind of how the offseason went for some of these teams. So check that out, 87sportsfans.com. And later on in the show, what?
My apologies. Keep going.
Wait. What video game are you playing right now?
That was not a video game. It was a Snapchat. I didn't know it was going to be a video.
An audible Snapchat, huh?
Bob, I thought you were older than 14.
Hey, I'm 25. All right,
that's what I thought.
That's done.
The Snapchat threw me. Sorry.
He's got to find a date somehow, or at least that's just the way they communicate, right?
That's one way to communicate.
I haven't used a Snapchat. Are you on any of those dating apps, Bob?
No. I used to when I used to do games on my show, reading. I don't know if you ever participated in that, Johnny, when I used to read chicks' profiles on my show.
No, I haven't been a part of that. I was on your show the other night, but no, we didn't do that. And I don't think we have, actually.
Yeah, I used to have the guest guess the body type based on the woman's profile on Plenty of Fish. That was the only time I had a dating website profile. And believe me, it was shocking, some of the stuff.
Oh, I can only imagine, because I know from like my ball players, a handful of those guys are on Tinder or whatever, and also a bunch of comedians that are also on the dating website, so they'll always be posting something funny. Where it's amazing how direct and just incredibly. I don't know. People are whores. I'm not cool with that. I don't know, man. That's not my style, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if I got desperate enough, probably, but I'm not at that point yet.
Yeah. Well, we should see when we bring on, like I said, since it's Friends Days, everybody's BFF, Cody VanCura, Celebratory Forties. We're going to be featuring this week Flatfoot 56, Tobin Bawinkel, and his side project 6'10", ditty Hurricane, off their humble beginnings of a Rovin Soul, in advance of their performance at 115 Bourbon Street this Saturday for the Rachel's Wish Benefit Cure for JM. And we're going to get into that a little bit later on during Cody's segment. But, it makes me think a little bit. I would imagine with Valentine's Day coming up, Cody's got to be feeling lonely right now. We need to pick him up tonight.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah? You think you can help us out with that?
I think I could give Cody a nice little rub for the holiday season.
Yeah, just a little something to get him back into it. And I feel like at the end of the show here, we should get into the new adoption of the Rooney Rule. Apparently, Roger Goodell felt that he needed to do more to fix the image here with the NFL when it comes down to their stance on women and abuse to women. I guess.
Like by not beating them?
Yeah, exactly. And then kind of changing away the repercussions of doing so. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, there's so much flip flopping going on. It's all this is pandering, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I mean, what about you, Bob? When it comes down to the Super Bowl, I mean, obviously, how do you feel about Media Day? I thought it was kind of a smart idea for them to move, the main opening night to Monday, and then allowing kind of everything to get to normal on Tuesday, so the reporters actually have a full extra day rather than having to share it with a bunch of clowns. I mean, what's your take on that opening night of the Bowl?
You mean the media day, like Monday?
Yeah.
I guess my opinion on it is actually the thing I hate most about the Super Bowl is Radio Row. Not that I wouldn't mind, if Keith sent us down there, but
oh yeah.
But the thing, it just becomes one big giant F fest of advertising your crap. So it's like,
yeah,
Mike and Mike get to jerk each other off while talking to Jerry Rice about some bullshit product that makes him feel like he's 25 again. And they actually get to hear a good conversation with Jerry Rice. One, because Mike and Mike are doing the interview and they suck at their jobs. And number two, it's 100% ad placement. It's like what you look at on the internet, basically, is what you're doing. It's pretty much the whole thing turns into one giant, 10 celebrities that are bulimic or whatever. Those type of websites where it's just one ad after another, after another, after another. And there's no substance to what they're talking about. They might talk about for 2 seconds, like, oh, who do you think's going to win the Super Bowl from Bo Jackson? But the rest of it's talking about Slim Fast or,
right.
Mike and Mike using KY jelly to jerk each other off.
Man, you were just going hard at the Mike and Mike tonight, huh?
Yeah, I don't like them. They're the worst.
I kind of picked up on that a little bit. I mean, okay, so since you're kind of down on that, and we talked about it a little bit on your show Sunday, what's your whole deal with the commercials? Why do you hate the fact that people love to just watch the commercials during the Super Bowl?
If you're watching something just for the commercials, you should go stick your face in a tub of bleach and take a couple gulps. I don't get, like, why would you? That's like me or you watching the series finale of Breaking Bad just for the commercials. Oh, I want to see what's on the. If you have no interest in it, don't watch. But to be so lame and say that you're watching just for the commercials.
But isn't that what people are doing, though? I mean, it basically it's just
the commercials haven't been good since like the early 2000s, if that, and they're not good anyway.
You'll get one or two good ones a year. You know what I mean? Where there's at least something, or you'll find out about it.
The best commercials they ever have now are the ones that get pulled because they have a dead child in them or something. Those are the only good commercials.
But no, I mean, think about it this way, though. There's usually like a debut of kind of trailer for like a new movie that's coming out that everybody's geeked to see. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's going to be some kind of Marvel commercial. You know what I mean? Whether it's a new Superman one or maybe something for Justice League. I don't even know if they're filming that thing yet. But, there's usually at least some substance with one or two of the commercials. But like I said, isn't it just more of an event? I mean, half these people don't even watch the season. They might have a fantasy football team that they don't really know how to run. And, it's there for a party. And why is this thing on Saturday? Why is it on Sunday?
I don't want it on Saturday. I mean...
Yeah, but then everybody bitches about having to go to work on Monday.
Take Monday off. I mean, I know not everybody can do that, but... Yeah. I mean... it's always been on a Sunday. You can't...
Yeah, I'm with you.
I mean, it's just tradition. I mean... one thing I don't like is the national championship on a Monday for college football, but I get it. I get why they do it, but yeah, I just not a fan of it. Never been a fan of it. But yeah, it's, watching for the commercial sounds like something Mike Greenberg would do, to be highly entertained and talk about how much of a wimp he is and how Golick is so strong. And God, these two have been on the goddamn airwaves for 15 years too long. They suck. I hate these.
They've been on air for a while, and I don't know. I guess maybe they're a little over the top. You know what I mean? And I really don't. To be honest with you, I can't say that I listen much of the 4-letter network when it comes down to radio. You know what I mean? Like I'll listen to Freddie Coleman because Freddie Coleman, I like him, and then I also do like the fact that when I'm driving home, I can listen to Sports Center and get updated. You know what I mean? Rather than, some of the other late night shows, they kind of just talk about garbage. It's usually kind of, I feel like that with when and she does a good job, but Amy Lawrence, like for instance, like her show, where you're listening to it and there's not much content. Like when I try to bring on guests, I'm trying to ask questions and get to the bottoms of things rather than we do like we're doing right now. We're just kind of shooting it, but that's only because we have a segment to do so. You know what I mean? If it weren't for that, we'd be trying to get to the heart of the matter. You know what I mean?
Well, and let me point out, this ESPN, they have like 5 producers and stat researchers and all this crap. And every one of their shows is, I like Lebitard, I like Ryan Russillo, but a lot of their shows are poorly researched. This is coming from me, who does zero research and zero anything for my show or any show I'm on. Just show up and talk. And with all the resources they have, and they don't have stats in front of them. They don't have, they have 4, 5, 6 people working on a show, and they're too busy to put together a good product. I mean, it's just, that's what bothers me about Super Bowl is the Radio Row with all these, Fox, NBC Sports Radio, all these, and there's no substance to what they talk about. All it is one big advertisement, and it's crap. It's pure, unadulterated crap.
Yeah, and I get it because I listen to a lot of Chicago sports talk radio, and a lot of it is 670 The Score. We've had several guests from that network on our show, but they were in Radio Row, and one of their shows that's they've been on again. It's like 15 or so plus years. Really, it's a funny show. Otherwise, they're going to come off as mean sometimes because sometimes they're mean to callers. But let's face it, sometimes you need to be mean because people are just ridiculous with some of the stuff they're coming from. They just want to hear their voice. But they went through and were on Radio Row, and normally they'll take calls and they'll have guests on and stuff. But there was a bit of the advertising, you know what I mean, with the guests that they had on, throughout the week, so far. But I think they did a pretty good job of keeping that to a minimum and kind of getting down to like the heart of the matter and kind of starting to talk about some of the real stuff about either their experiences in the Super Bowl. And it's cool because you can only cover so much so much of the Super Bowl in terms of the matchups and everything. But when you actually get a guy that has been there, has played in the league for a while, it's kind of cool to get some of their stories to just switch up some of the content a little bit. And they focus on the draft a little bit too. So,
yeah, I mean, I get why, Nutrisystem and all these products send their people there. I get why they do it. And I get why, it's probably the best advertising week of the year for anything, whether it be just the Super Bowl itself or the week leading up to it with all the radio appearances, TV appearances, whatever it may be. It's just, I guess, it's a perfect time to do it. However, it just, it turns, it's no longer a sporting event. It's no longer about the sport. It's all about the advertising and the music and the show and everything, which I know that's why they make so much money and why everybody watches, is because it's a spectacle and everything. But it's just,
there's a lot of eyes on it, man.
There's a lot of selling your soul.
Eyes on football.
Well, there's a lot of eyes, and there's also a lot of soul selling.
Oh yeah, well, of course.
That's
that's what it's
NFL, I mean, I know I'm not new to this. I'm not breaking any news or anything, but it just feels like anybody that's on Radio Row is a complete sellout. And the NFL itself, not that this is anything new either, is a complete sellout. So if you're on Radio Row, in my opinion, you are a complete sellout to what you're doing, because you're not talking about sports, you're talking about product placement and everything, and you're no better than Michael Bay or somebody like that who's doing a piece of crap movie, and having an Apple computer placed in your movie. You're no better than those people.
Well, Bob, let me tell you something, man. I can't wait to sell out Bobbo. Man.
Yeah, and that being said, as soon as money starts flowing my way, I am completely selling out and going to Radio Row. But before that happens, I want to get all my feelings out there so I can be a sellout before that happens.
Yeah, well, at least I'm sure you'll be the first to admit that you're selling out. Well, if you ever do make it down to that beautiful Radio Row. But some of the guys that we're going to have on our show, we're going to keep talking football here. When we get back, we're going to talk to Eric Edholm of Yahoo Sports and 120 Sports. He runs the Yahoo Sports Shutdown Corner blog, and also is on 120 Sports Football Fix show. We're going to get into that when we get back here on the Johnnie Bobbo Show. But later on, after Ed or Eric, we're going to have Jim Saranteas on, the Fantasy Greek of thefantasygreek.com, to continue breaking this all down. And later on after that, Francois VanCura of Celebratory Forties coming by, the emo prince of the Midwest. He's going to debut Hurricane from 6'10", the Flatfoot 56 side project. So we're going to get into all that when we get back here. So give us a call, 585-633-7487, or give us a tweet at LN Sports Radio to talk sports with us as they happen right here on the Johnnie Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio and your Spreaker app.
Baby, you're a mystery. Tell me what's a girl gotta do? Looking at the history doesn't seem to give any clue. Just when I think I understand it all, you seem to unravel some more. Ooh, la, 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 ooh, I never know nobody like you. Ooh, la, 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 ooh, now, now I know I'm an enigma. Ooh, la, la, ooh, la, 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 oh. Yeah, you keep me guessing, I'm confessing now, well, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're a riddle, I'm caught up in the middle of you. I'm trying to think bigger, but I can't seem to figure it through. I wanna make it better, but now I'm scared of looking a fool. Oh, baby, no, I've never been very good at playing it cool. Just when I think I understand it all, I find I know nothing at all. Ooh, I never know nobody like you. Ooh, la, 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 ooh, now, now I know I'm an enigma. Ooh, la, 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 oh. Yeah, you keep me guessing, I'm confessing now, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Ooh, baby, you're an enigma. Oh, yeah.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Thomas says stay home, get away from me, saying I was bad for you. He got his way, I'm gone for good. Making up stories, keeping it secret, taking your word for truth. You were bad for me, so I'm gone for good.
All right, welcome back into the Johnnie Bobbo Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com, on your Spreaker app, and feel free to download the show on iTunes afterwards. Right now, we're going to get right to it. Eric Edholm, at Eric_Edholm on Twitter of Yahoo Sports and 120 Sports. How you doing tonight, Eric?
Everything's good. What's happening with you?
Oh, not too much. Just trying my hardest to talk over that awful song. I don't know what that was, Keith, but you're killing me with that. We got to take.
You're such
Oh,
you're such a snob.
I hate the awful pop music. I can't handle it. And last time we had Eric on, we talked a little bit about the David Bowie thing. And now, what is your take? So now we're going to have Lady Gaga is going to do the, apparently the national anthem for the Super Bowl. And she's going to be doing a David Bowie tribute. I don't know how she plans on tributing him, but is that a good idea?
Hey, I'm all for it. I think she's pretty interesting. I don't, spin through her music all that often, but she's creative, she's artistic, she's got a different take on music, I think, than a lot of people these days. And I don't know, I think we're in kind of a creative nadir in the music world right now. So I'll take her over a lot that's going on. And so she's going to pay tribute to David Bowie. God bless her. I'll tune in. I'm going to be working anyway, so I might as well, see how that turns out.
Yeah, and now, how are you going to be watching the game? Are you going to be at home? Do you need a quiet room with a pen and paper? We're going to be taking notes. You're going to be at a party. Where are you going to be?
No, I'll be working. I'm usually at the game, or if I'm back home for the game itself. Like last year, I went out and covered all week, and then came back on game day and watched from home. But so I'll be writing throughout the game. I'll be filing several stories on what's going on during the game, and funny things, interesting things, shocking things, anything that crops up during the game.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think probably one of the more interesting things is the Broncos and the Panthers, they haven't met each other since 2012. And now, do you see that going to, is that going to be an issue for Broncos defensive coordinator Wade Phillips going up against the Panthers? I mean, it's a pretty diverse and creative, offensive playbook. Or do you think that's just going to be a non-factor because the Broncos are just so good and, their defense is so great and they've had so much time, to prepare with all the different material, the video and the scouting reports and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think having an extra week is always going to help a coordinator just, put in the extra time. Let's watch every snap twice if we can. Let's go through every play and every formation and see what trends we can develop. What are the keys that we have to read? Is it are we reading run first? Are we thinking pass? Are we worried about Cam beating us with his legs? All those things come into play. And their run game really is diverse. I mean, as you said, they'll do read option stuff. Obviously that's a big threat of what they do. They'll go power. They'll line up with Tolbert and heavy backfields. They'll use a tight end, Greg Olsen, in the backfield at times. They'll run counters. They'll run trap plays. I mean, they really, inside, outside zone. It's a little bit of everything sprinkled in. And then, oh, by the way, play action is pretty dangerous too. So, I don't think the unfamiliarity is going to kill them. If this was, getting ready in 6 days in the middle of the season, sure, absolutely. That's something that's going to be a factor. But, they haven't seen a lot of read option type run games this year. They've seen the Kansas City Chiefs twice. Alex Smith runs it here and there. The Bears sprinkled it in a little bit with Jay Cutler, but, this is still something that's relatively new to them over this season.
Yeah. Now, how do you kind of see it playing out for Denver, just knowing that, are they going to be able to be in their preferred, man-free cover sets? And how limited are they going to be coping with the injuries to their safeties? Darian Stewart's out or, injured. Same thing with TJ Ward and all-pro, cornerback Chris Harris. I feel like there's a pretty big gap there between almost 100% and 75% when it comes down to defending a guy like Cam Newton.
Yeah, you make a good point too. And how much man defense are they going to play? Are they worried about getting stuck in zone and having Cam scramble on them? In man defense, I should say, where your eyes are on the defender and not in the backfield. So that's something that Phillips has played more zone defense this year than I can remember him playing, at least in certain games. I thought his game plan against New England was phenomenal. But those rushers had no run game to concern themselves with. I mean, you saw Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware screaming up the field. You saw Malik Jackson and Derek Wolfe just bull rushing and getting their way up the field. Hey, if New England called a draw, which they did a lot more than I thought they would, who cares? We'll give them 4 yards. That's fine.
Yeah.
But with the Panthers, that's something that they do with regularity. I mean, they can run the ball for 6, 8 yards, 10 yards. And so you can't, I don't think, have that same breakneck pass rush to try to get to Cam Newton. So that's certainly a factor there.
Yeah.
Eric, with the, looking at going into this from a gambling perspective, who do you think has an outside shot at winning the MVP that, it wouldn't hurt putting some money on?
Right, yeah. I mean, obviously quarterbacks win this award more than anything. I mean, I think they've won it 27 or 8 of the 49 Super Bowls. And, then you see wide receivers and running backs tend to come next. If I was going to take somewhat of a long shot, I mean, first of all, Luke Kuechly has defensive touchdowns in each of the last 2 games. He's a name. People know who he is. He's around the ball. He could have a 14 or a 15 tackle game. He could come up with a fumble recovery. He could make an interception. I mean, so he's the kind of defensive player that I think would make a lot of sense, and you'd get decent enough odds on him. If we're going for an offensive player on the Panthers that might be a little out of the picture, no tight end has ever won a Super Bowl MVP before. That's something that, Dan Ross had a big game for the Bengals back in the day. Jay Novacek had a few big games, but Dallas Clark. I mean, there haven't been a lot of tight ends who've had big Super Bowls. So it wouldn't shock me if Greg Olsen goes for 130 yards. I mean, I could see him having a monster game, especially with the middle of that defense being a little nicked up, as you pointed out. So I could see Olsen being a factor. If we're looking at the Broncos, it wouldn't stun me if I'll say this. I mean, Emmanuel Sanders is their best receiver. I think if the Broncos can win, Demaryius Thomas has to have a big game. And he's just been a shell of himself lately, running sloppy routes, sort of not being aware of when the ball's coming to him, dropping passes. It'd be a risk. But, boy, I mean, I think if he does play well, they've got a shot. So those are a couple of sort of off the grid picks that could be decent long shot choices.
Yeah, and that's kind of funny. You bring up the fact that Olsen, he pretty much is the most sure-handed receiver on the team, and just know there's not that many options for him when it comes down to passing. At least that are reliable enough in terms of holding on to the ball like he is. But seeing that, what approach do you think Denver's defense is going to employ in shutting down a guy like Greg Olsen?
I can see them using Aqib Talib on him. They've used Talib on some tight ends in the past, notably Gronk. So if you can cover 6'5", 265, you have a shot against a guy, and you're used to running with faster wide receivers. I can see that making sense. I mean, you almost have to ask yourself, who do we trust more? Do we think Aqib Talib matched up with Greg Olsen makes sense over, say, Jericho Cotchery or Devin Funchess, somebody like that, assuming that, that Roby can run on the other side or Chris Harris can run and handle Ted Ginn's speed. So, I mean, yeah, I'm taking that bet. I think that makes sense. So if he's in the right, formationally speaking, if he's attached to the line, you're probably not necessarily sticking to Talib on him. But if he's detached and he is in the slot a lot, he does go in motion. I can see that matchup happening more than once. I think that's going to be something we see. But T.J. Ward is matched up with a lot of tight ends this year with middling success. I mean, some have worked, some haven't. So I think they may try a different approach.
Yeah, and you know, thinking about that from Wade Phillips' standpoint, where you see so many, you know, quarterbacks that come in and out that you know, claim to be a dual threat, but not a guy like Cam Newton, where he's legitimately, you know, a guy where, you know, he can run on you, he can pass on you. He's got to the point now where he's comfortable, you know, as a pocket passer, which is really scary to think about. You know, if you're Wade Phillips, you know, which component of Newton's game are you going to try to eradicate first and foremost?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, some people, you know, we've heard from some of the sort of the intimidators of a generation ago, Rodney Harrison and Bill Romanowski, both saying, hey, I'm begging him to run, and I'm trying to hurt. I'm trying to hit him in the knees. I'm trying to, you know, make sure he remembers me, or in the first quarter. You know, I want to send a message early. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but
Yeah.
You know, obviously those guys are a little bit of a different breed, and they have a different approach than maybe some people do. But, you know, it almost makes some sense. As backbreaking as Cam running the ball can be, if you're kind of inviting him to do it, and you have faith in your hitters, you know, I mean, your guys who are going to be able to, you know, sort of make sure they get a body on him, make sure they hit him, arm, leg, whatever it may be, and get a few good shots on him, which you're allowed to do. You're still allowed to hit guys in football, last I checked. You know, it kind of makes some sense. And
right.
Numbers under pressure this year have not been great. I'll be curious to see how much they actually blitz. I don't think it's an abnormally high number because of, you know, some of the diversity of their run game. But, yeah, I want to see sometimes they send an extra or if they buy Cam and what they seem most concerned about. So the fact that they've openly talked about buying Cam this week almost makes me think like they're not going to do it. So that's something to keep an eye on, especially early in the game.
Yeah, and this might play into that a little bit. I mean, Carolina to this point, they've averaged 148 rushing yards a game in the postseason, 142.6 in the regular, and now they're going to face off against the Broncos' third best run defense, strong at all three levels, and you know they've only allowed one 100-yard rusher all season long. That was week 2 against Kansas City. Which team, at least in the running game, when Carolina's running it, do you feel has the edge?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jonathan Stewart gets overlooked a little bit, and I think this Carolina offensive line gets a little overlooked. So I think they're going to be able to volume their way to a pretty good day running the football. You know, I think Cam can add his 30, 40, 50 yards on 6 or 8 or maybe even 10 attempts. You know, Jonathan Stewart's going to have his 75, 80 yards. Tolbert will chip in with, you know, 2 or 3 short yardage runs, and you know, maybe Artist Payne, they still trust him at this point. He'll get a carry or 2 to spell Stewart, and they'll get their 110, 120 yards on the ground. I mean, I don't know what the exact total is going to be, but I think they're going to find their way to triple digits. They're so patient, they stick with it. It's a big part of their scripted portion, too. Mm-hmm. I do feel like they took plays to start the first half and also to start the second half, too, which a lot of teams don't necessarily do. So I do feel like they constantly remind themselves, no matter the situation, we need to run the football. That's what we do. That puts us in great passing situations. That allows Cam Newton to be effective. So I still say slight edge Carolina on that one, as good as the Broncos have been defensively.
Yeah, and again, we're talking to Eric Edholm at Eric_Edholm on Twitter, Yahoo Sports, and 120 Sports. Check, all sorts of places you're doing stuff. And you kind of look on the flip side of this whole thing. How can Denver's veteran guard tandem of Evan Mathis and Luis Vasquez neutralize Carolina's, defensive tackles between Quan Short, stars there, just to find a way to fortify that interior pocket for Manning?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think those two probably have the best chances of their alignment. I mean, obviously it's a really good Carolina front, but it does sort of focus on what Star, Lotulele, and Kwan Short do. I think they're the best of what they have up front. Charles Johnson, not the same guy. Jared Allen probably going to be playing hurt. Coney Healy flashes here and there. I don't know that he's a great player, but he's been good. So, yeah, I think you're right. Strength is on the interior. And the strength of the Broncos line is probably there as well. I'm not a big fan of Schofield. We've seen them kind of rotate some guys outside with limited success. They can't get overwhelmed, obviously. I mean, Peyton, limited as he is mobility-wise, he's going to get rid of the ball as quickly as he possibly can. He is going to be asked to do a lot back there. But those guys have committed some penalties, too, that have been really costly. So, I think it's going to be more with quickness and angles, and sometimes in some cases inviting them up the field a little bit. Knowing that Short is that basketball player type, that quick first step guy. They may kind of overplay certain gaps and let him kind of shoot one way and have the play go the other. So I'm sure they've done their film on him, and I think they're more worried about Short than they are Los Lele. So, it'll be fun to see how big a factor he is and what Denver does to try to counteract it a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about the fact that Carolina doesn't really have the havoc pass rushers, coming off the edge there. Do you see a deluge of blitzes here from Carolina, or do you think they're just kind of going to play back and sit tight?
They're predominantly a zone team. I mean, they play a lot of cover 3, and they'll do some Tampa 2 and some cover 2, and I don't think they'll get too aggressive with the blitzing unless they feel like, boy, we're just not getting a Manning. And he's sitting back there and chopping wood. I mean, he's getting his 6, 7, 8, 10 yards a clip, and we've got to do something about it just to disrupt the rhythm. They've been so good at getting pressure with 4 this year that they haven't had to blitz a ton. So that's interesting. I mean, Sean McDermott comes from a system that relies on pressure. He came from Jim Johnson in Philly, and Johnson was the master of the blitz, or at least the zone pressure at worst. So you could see some ends dropping off, and Josh Norman blitzing at times, Roman Harper blitzing at times. They've used some of the linebackers. What kind of shape is Thomas Davis in for this game? Is he ready to go and able to help out and get into the mix there? So, that's something to keep an eye on, too, especially if they get behind. I mean, if they get behind early and they feel that need to make that game-changing turnover, they've had so many of them this year, you could see them dial up the right blitz in a 3rd and 8.
Yeah, and you look at Denver's running game, and I feel like they do need to, run the ball quite a bit, at least to kind of open up play action some, chew up some clock. But you look at what C.J. Anderson did. He had his yards per carry drop from 4.2 in the regular season to 3.3 so far a carry in the playoffs. Do you think this is a stamina thing and a durability thing, or do you just think he's overmatched?
Yeah, I think he hasn't been a great fit in Gary Kubiak's run game. And you normally think of, wow, Kubiak's system is really what helps people out. And, certain types of backs can really flourish in that kind of one-cut zone running style. But, on the flip side, I think he's been a little bit stifled by it, and I think he's felt kind of restricted. And I think he's got to be a little bit more patient and just kind of wait for those holes to open up and then put his foot in the ground and go. We've seen it. I mean, there have been some flashes this year. That first New England game, he was outstanding. And when the gaps are there, he can run through them. And he's got some little wiggle, and he's got a little burst to him. But I think in terms of patience and reading his keys a little bit and reading his holes, he can stand to take that extra half second and let those blocks develop a little better. So I think that's been part of it. Health has been another issue, too. He's been banged up this season. Not the same health that he was a year ago when he came on late in the year.
Well, you think about that. I mean, these guys, regardless, aren't going to be playing at 100%. That's kind of why I mentioned near 100% earlier, just because you go through a season like that, and no way you wrap it up, feeling 100%. And so you kind of consider that. And, I mean, do you think that maybe has something to contribute, to why, the Denver receivers had such a hard time catching the ball, like, especially, Demaryius Thomas? I mean, is it a mental, or maybe pass velocity issue? And I mean, do you expect that to play a factor in the Sunday's outcome?
Yeah, with Thomas, I felt like he probably hasn't been right all season. I don't know what's going on, but he did have the surgery last off season on that. I think it was his ankle, if I'm not mistaken. And he just hasn't looked the same all year. There've been, obviously glimpses of the franchise player, the guy who earned the big contract in the offseason, $43.5 million, whatever it was. And, obviously he's made enough plays to sort of keep him in high regard for the most part. But yeah, the drop passes, the mental mistakes, things like that. Sometimes physical problems can lead to mental issues, and the guy goes out there less than 100% confidence, and he gets a good corner in his face, and he's taken out of the game mid-third quarter. I mean, he's done by halftime or whatever it is, or he's just not the same player fighting with the same edge. So, yeah, I believe that kind of thing can happen. It's hard to speculate, though. It's hard to know exactly where he's at because he hasn't been appearing on the injury report, and we have to assume he's at full health.
Right. Yeah. Again, just a few more things. Eric Edholm, at Eric_Edholm on Twitter, Yahoo Sports, 120 Sports. And, if you're Gary Kubiak and you win the coin toss, which way are you going to go here? Are you going to put your best unit on the field with your defense, risking falling behind, but staying to have a huge gain of momentum, or are you going to roll with Peyton Manning and the offense right off the bat to try to get in front of the Panthers?
Yeah, I think I'd rather have that first possession in the second half. And if you are down, boy, it feels like an extra possession. I mean, if you're trailing and you come out and have to play defense right away, I mean, even with a special group like what they have, that's a little bit of a daunting feeling. Plus, you think about it with the Super Bowl, too. You can go almost an hour between seeing the field. If if the Panthers get the ball last possession in the second quarter, and then they get it in the first possession of the third quarter, 45 minutes halftime for a Super Bowl. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
Normally it's 12. With the halftime show and everything that happens, your offense may not be on the field for an hour in real time. I mean, that's crazy to think about. So, especially with Peyton Manning, I mean, a guy who can easily seize up out there and get stiff and get cold. I'm not cold like in temperature, but cold like he's not warmed up. And so even no matter how throwing you do on the sideline, sometimes not having that early possession in the third quarter can really hurt you. And if Carolina goes on a 7-minute drive to open the third quarter, boy, that's going to be a tough to come back from. So I think Kubiak would be smart to defer if he did win that coin toss.
Yeah, and before we let you go here, if you can get a prediction for us. I mean, where do you think is going on? You're talking, you're leaning Carolina a little bit, but also clue us in on the Football Fix show with 120 Sports and some of the video on demand stuff that you do.
Yeah, the Football Fix is great. We have a lot of guests on the show. Anthony Herron, who played in the league with Detroit and Green Bay, he's been on recently. Chris Martin, who played at Northwestern, also for the Chicago Bears, is my regular co-host in the show. And so we break it down, college, NFL. We had fun with signing day this week and a lot of Super Bowl chatter. But check us out live, 120sports.com, or download the app. 120 Sports, you can find it in your app store. And we are live at noon Eastern, 11 Central for 1 hour. We've got the fantasy lunch hour after that, too, for the fantasy folks out there. Those guys do a great job. And, I am leaning Carolina, and I think the score may get a little out of hand. Carolina's not been a big yardage team this year, but they've been a big point-producing team this year.
Yeah.
The turnover margin's great. Denver does not have a great turnover margin this season, even with their better play recently. I just think Carolina's defense, special teams, and offense are all going to put them in a great position to put points on the board. So I think I think Carolina wins, and maybe wins by 2 touchdowns, even though, we may look at the game and say, boy, it was just a couple of key plays here and there, one turnover, one long return, one special teams play that tilted the game. So I think Carolina wins, and I think they win by a healthy margin.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for that. I'm with you. I ended up picking a little bit tighter game. I think I hit 27-20 as the final there, but I'm with you. I'm thinking Carolina is just going to come out on top here. But we appreciate your time, and we're going to make sure everybody checks out that Football Fix show, and especially tomorrow morning. So since you're going to be rolling with that right away, we'll keep up to date. I'm going to get me that 120 app. It sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Download it. They have great coverage at night. If you're an NBA fan, Antoine Walker's on the show. If you're a football fan, we have Bryant McFadden at night. I mean, they have some great guys talking all kinds of sports, but hardcore all football from noon to 1 Eastern.
Fantastic. All right. That's Eric Edholm at Eric_Edholm, Yahoo Sports, 120 Sports. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it, Eric.
All right, man. Talk to you real quick.
You got it. See ya. All right, there he is. Fantastic stuff again, and I mean that's your guy, Bob. I know you enjoy his company here. Maybe next time we can get him to cut loose a little bit. I got to keep it to the straight business, man. Like I told you, when it comes down to bringing these guests on, man, we try to get to the point, get to the heart of the matter, and I don't know. What did you take out of all that? I mean, where are you standing at this moment, Bob, when it comes down to the Super Bowl winner?
The whole thing of it was very interesting. The hour of possible time where you don't have the football is huge.
Yeah, isn't that crazy to think about?
Or if like your only possession before the half is taking a knee and going in the locker room. So that's interesting. You know, Peyton, he's not what he used to be, where, you know, he can control the game with what he does. He can't do that anymore. At least this year, he can't. Maybe he has to get 100%, and then he can do that, but he can't do that this year. So I figure, you know, they're going to have like keep the possessions low, number of possessions low, long drives. If they're going to throw, obviously it's going to be short, quick passes. But I don't see. Yeah, it was interesting, the 14-point victory he was predicting. I'm kind of with him right now on that. I kind of feel like this is going to be kind of a blowout type of game. Not as bad as the last Broncos Super Bowl, but it's going to be a blowout. Just not, you know, the scoreboard's not going to indicate a blowout, but it's just, I just don't see it being close.
Yeah, at least in terms of, you know, I can see where you're coming from on all that. Yeah, we had, you know, when you look at what the Panthers have done, I mean, they've been been able to outscore their opponents 55-7 in the first half so far in the playoffs. So, I mean, when you just think about that, I mean, I guess it's hard to kind of imagine that, you know, that it's going to turn into a blowout. But just knowing about the fact that, you know, that their defense is as good as it is, I think that's going into this all probably a little bit underrated, just because Denver's defense has been so awesome. This is the first time in the history of their franchise that they've actually, you know, had the top defense in the league. You know what I mean? So they've been able to turn around quick, and with that being the strong suit of the team, I think there's just been a lot more focus on that. And I mean, let me ask you this, Bob. You know, if they do go down big, if it does turn into a shootout, do you think that there's any chance Kubiak is going to go to Osweiler in this? I mean, is he going to be the guy that you know makes that move? And is that something that you think either, you know, him and Peyton have talked about, or, you know, where they kind of have an understanding between each other where it's like, all right, here, listen, like, if it gets out of hand and I'm not doing it, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't take offense to that.
Smoke. What's the question?
Well, the question is, I mean, do you feel that Kubiak will be willing, you know, or should he, you know, pull Peyton Manning if it comes down to a situation where, you know, they're getting smoked and Peyton's just not getting the job done?
I don't think he pulls him. I mean,
I've heard quite a bit of talk about that, like legitimate conversations, you know, about that, and kind of understanding where Peyton's at, you know, in his career, and where he would understand, you know, a situation like that, where if he doesn't look right. I mean, you look at every one of the games that, you know, that he had this season, that he played in the regular season,
yeah,
games
it was like
that he started. Yeah, he had 17 picks. Okay, and in those 10 games that he did to start the season, and not one of them, you know, did he go without a pick?
Yeah, I just don't see him. Yeah, he's been terrible at times this year, but, you know, I think you know what Brock Osweiler is. He was fine this year, but people really elevated how good he was playing at times.
But it was because Peyton's so bad.
Yeah, well, it was like comparing, you know, a slightly less fat chick to a really fat chick. Like, that's what it was comparing it to. I mean, actually, you know what it's like? It's like comparing, you know, like Carney Wilson, who's fat, but she's at least kind of cute, to like Roseanne Barr, who's fat and just hideous. Like, it's like, okay, well, you know, at least, you know, she's a slightly less better, but she's still not a 10. Like, people were trying to, it's like somebody's like, "Oh, Carney Wilson's beautiful," and if you don't like her, then you don't like fat people. No, well, you're right. I don't really like fat people, but I just don't understand the love for Brock Osweiler. Like, he was fine, but it wasn't like he was a world beater or anything. It was kind of the same with who else got replaced this year?
What?
God, there was another another backup.
I don't know.
What? I didn't do it.
I mean, you can look at a guy. You can look at it's not me. It's like a
Okay. Is that better?
yeah. Yeah, it's a little. That's okay.
Yeah,
No,
I don't-
it's all good, man. I just can't hear you over it sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. As far as I feel like there was another quarterback that, AJ McCarron, who got
Okay,
a lot
yeah.
more love than he deserved playing quarterback. They're like, he's playing great.
Yeah, but I mean, it's you look at a guy like Josh McCown where he came in and filled for Jay Cutler and went and got a huge contract after that. I mean, this is a guy that was out of the damn league and coaching high school football, and then they're like, hey, we need a quarterback. You think you can still do it? Yeah, sure. Why the hell not? Came out, and then all of a sudden the guy's rich next season. You know what I mean? So I mean that does happen, but what does happen is every once in a while we get back a former regular of the show, a couple, weeks off for our guy, Jim Saranteas. But Jim Saranteas, the Fantasy Greek, joining us right now, right here on the Johnnie Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio and your Streaker app. How the hell are you, Jim? Great to have you back.
Hey, guys, doing really great. How are you guys?
So we're dealing with it, kind of running over some, pondering the situation. I mean, I guess let's get right into it. We can find you at the Fantasy Greek on Twitter. How much confidence do you have in Peyton Manning, just knowing that his arms deteriorated at this point, and I mean he just looked pretty questionable when at least when it comes down to decision making with the 17 interceptions, games 1 through 10, and had at least one interception in all of those games. And then when you look at his Super Bowl, he's got a 3 touchdown to 4 interception ratio and 3 Super Bowl appearances.
Well, I have confidence in Peyton Manning if the Broncos' offensive line can protect him, and I think that's where sort of you start to lose confidence in what Peyton Manning can possibly bring to the table. He's been under siege pretty much all season long, and now he goes up against one of the better defenses in the league that can certainly put on a pass rush. And actually, this offseason has as many sacks as the Broncos, fearsome foursome. So, I put it this way: if the Broncos are going to win this game, they definitely need a passing game. I think both teams will run the football heavily, and certainly if that's how it goes, where both teams are just running the football, I think the Panthers win that battle. However, if Peyton Manning can actually add to that a passing game, this is a game that the Broncos can win.
Yeah, and I mean when you kind of think about Peyton at least being able to pass and kind of control the game a little bit like he used to. I mean, obviously the king of deciphering defenses. I mean, do you expect the Panthers defense to buy into all the Omahas and the hand gestures and all the motions in the backfield and all that business? Or are they just going to go out there and play their style of defense?
That's a great question. And the sensible answers are going to go out and play their own style of defense.
Right.
The reality is that there is nothing new that Peyton Manning is bringing to the table in terms of his style of play. The way he calls plays, signals his players. Certainly, they'll probably add some things to the offense. At least they should. I mean, they've had 2 weeks to work out some additional plays that hopefully no one's ever seen before to sort of try to catch the Panthers off guard, surprise them, maybe get lucky in the play. But based on the question you've asked, I just don't see that.
Yeah, and I mean, on that same note, these two teams haven't faced off since 2012, and with Manning being, I guess, almost at least predictable in terms of knowing that he's going to be trying to change things around a little bit. I mean, how big of a difference maker is that for Wade Phillips when it comes down to game planning against an offense that has a guy like Cam Newton?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, just knowing that he's not used to facing a supreme talent like Cam Newton, where that playbook is just so incredibly diverse. They can do a bunch of different things with it, whether it comes down to running, throwing, play action, all that other business. That's something that they haven't seen very much of, and I would imagine that's got to be hard to prepare for.
I'm sure it is. But, Wade Phillips, he's been in the league for a really long time. So I think if you're going to throw something at him, it really needs to be special because he's probably seen it or seen some offshoot of it. The Broncos, what makes them such a great defense is, besides being great coverage guys, being able to pressure the quarterback, is they are absolutely physical. And probably the most physical defense out there. It's never a surprise to see guys from the other team leave the game due to injury, and it's not because they're dirty players. It's because they hit hard, they play hard, they play every play as if it's the last play of the game. So I think this will be that kind of a battle, but at the end of the day, the Panthers should come out on top.
Yeah, and it would seem silly, don't you think, for someone to be, at least some people to be calling Denver underdogs in this, just especially seeing how the way the Broncos pass rush and coverage units looked in sync against the Patriots, don't you think?
Yeah, it's hard to envision that what happened to the Broncos against the Seahawks will happen again this time around. It's certainly possible. The Panthers have been very successful offensively. They've posted 8 TDs to the 3 by the Broncos in the playoffs. So, they certainly have proven themselves the more potent offense. But to think that the Broncos are just going to roll over on this one, it's harder to envision. Certainly, this Broncos defense is much better than the one that they put out on the field against Cam Newton a couple seasons ago. So I don't see that. However, if for some reason we woke up Monday morning and the margin of victory was 2 touchdowns or more, it's the Super Bowl. Most of the time, there are some surprises, some things no one can exactly foresee in this game.
Yeah, and with Cam Newton, with the whole evolution of him to where now he's become more of a, at least a more comfortable pocket passer, do you think that the Broncos are better off blitzing as frequently as they usually would? Or are they best as kind of, better suited playing back, playing tight coverage, and just kind of working a continuous and gradual pass rush?
I think they need to bring the pressure. This is a game that I think if you can establish yourself early, put in a few big hits, that will certainly influence the remainder of the game.
Yeah, and with a guy like Cam Newton, saying that he can do so much, what is the first thing, say if you're Wade Phillips, that you're going to look to do to at least, cut off one head of all the different, aspects that he has to his game? Which one are you going to look to attack first?
You're talking about Cam Newton.
Mm-hmm.
You bring your guys to stop Cam Newton. Your question is, do you stop the pass? Do you stop the rush? I think he's an equally dangerous player either way. But, certainly if he is more one-dimensional in the passing game, that probably does play to your advantage because, quite frankly, they have a great secondary.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's the kind of thing, too, that I would think about. It's just the fact, the Panthers outscored their opponents this postseason so far, 55-7, and that's just in the first half alone. And, I wouldn't, there's maybe only a few situations where I can see this happening. But, do you expect the Broncos, or I should say, what do the Broncos need to do to avoid falling behind and trying to compete in a shootout? Because I just don't think that they can hold up in a match like that.
I would agree with you. Johnny, I'm not sure what the question is, but I suppose the simple answer is to keep points off the board. If they can't keep points off the board, they're going to lose this game. They're going to force Peyton Manning to start throwing the football. And the fact is, this is one of the worst offensive lines this season. Well, not the worst, but they're certainly very much middle of the road in terms of the sacks they've allowed, the quarterback hits they've allowed. They're number 12 on our smacks list. And, and that's last year they were number 1. They allowed the least quarterback hits, the least sacks in the league. And, it's really part of the reason you've seen this drop off in production from Peyton Manning, added to the fact that he's a year older.
Right. And with 26 interceptions in the regular season, 6 in the playoffs, what to this point do you think has made Carolina's secondary so successful at reading the ball and just getting in the best position to lead the world in interceptions so far?
You have to credit 2 things. One, the pressure they put on the quarterback, and the second of it really is going to be just the individual talents of the defensive backs.
Yeah, and you got a guy like Cortland Finnegan out there where came in late in the season. He's pretty much been a liability in the nickelback spot. I mean, do you expect the Broncos to try to keep him on the field as often as possible? Where at least they're there.
Yeah, look, I mean, this isn't the time where you're going to. Nobody's going to get cute. Nobody's going to sit there and change something drastically from what they've done this season in terms of their personnel. They may change plays. They may change not the pressure that they bring, but the direction of where that pressure comes from, how often it comes from that direction. They might see a weakness in the offensive lines of their opponents that nobody else has been able to take advantage of, that they'll constantly bring to or go to until the other team makes an adjustment. I think it's interesting. I would listen to part of what your previous guest had to say, and I think he's absolutely right. If you win the toss here, especially 2 of the best defenses in the league, you might as well defer and let your defense get out on the field and give your offense the opportunity to be first up, especially if you're behind in the game. And to me, the team that will more than likely be behind in the game at halftime will be the Broncos. So I'll want that as a safety valve in this offense because, quite frankly, Gary Kubiak, this is not a passing offense. It hasn't been a passing offense for quite a while. Mm-hmm. And if he's got to open it up, so be it. He's going to have to open it up in the second half, and then I'll give him some time to make that adjustment if he needs to.
Sure. And kind of looking at the other side of the football, you have, or at least the other sideline, Ron Rivera, won a Super Bowl as a player with the 85-86 Bears. And, how much does that aid the Panthers in Super Bowl 50, having a guy that's already been there, at least as a player?
Well, certainly he can speak to the pressure. He can speak to the time between halves. He can speak to what occurs in that 2-week time period that they've had to prepare to the media event the other day. I mean, there's a lot of things. You could just show up with a Super Bowl ring and let everybody look and gawk at it and say, I want one of those. There's a lot of things that he brings to the table, but quite frankly, I'm sure there are players on the Broncos that could do the same, including Peyton Manning.
Sure. And what is your Super Bowl pick here? What's your ultimate prediction? You're looking at Carolina as well? Absolutely.
I'm calling it Broncos 17, Panthers 24. That's what I'm calling. It should be a win. Could they pull away? I suppose so. It's just really hard to see that with these 2 defenses. I mean, they're really pretty darn good, right? I mean, you couldn't sit there and look at the Broncos from a couple seasons ago and the Seahawks from a couple seasons ago and view them as the same defenses. This time around, you can kind of view them that way and say they're both pretty darn good. So it'll be a battle. Whoever wins this game will have to dominate on the ground. Whoever can do that will win. Yeah, okay. And again, we're talking to Jim Saranteas at the Fantasy Greek on Twitter, thefantasygreek.com. And so what are we going to be looking forward to next year on the Fantasy Greek? Obviously, you're going to have a couple of breakdowns of the game, but what's the next big thing for the Fantasy Greek coming into the post-Super Bowl aftermath? Well, we're planning some different things. We've everything from our NFL draft fundraiser at the end of April to putting together a celebrity fantasy football league with a live draft fundraiser in August. Obviously, our draft guide's coming out in early July. and then ultimately we'll be looking at next year throwing a big event for the Super Bowl.
Fantastic. That sounds pretty good. So, again, we appreciate your insight, and everybody check out that. How many writers did you pull together for that, ultimately for your predictions list there on the fans?
Oh, I didn't.
There's quite a few there.
Well, there's 12. There's 12.
Okay.
Some are from thefantasygreek.com, but then we've got different writers from different venues, like Kenny Rhoda from the Kenny Rhoda Show on WHBC.com. We've got the executive producer for the Patriots and Bruins channel from 98.5, the Sports Hub. Gary Dickman, host of the Sports Animals on ESPN 1420 AM. Joel Silverberg, he's a producer for Sports Radio WNML. And who else? I'm missing somebody, at least somebody else. My newest friend, Scott Gramley, he's managing editor for StatFox.com. He's also a guest from time to time on 98.5, the Sports Hub. He is a editor extraordinaire. I could talk about him for a while, but then his head would get too big. We wouldn't want that. Rachel Wold, CEO of the FantasyFootballChick.com. And who am I missing? Oh, yeah, Johnny Malores.
Yeah,
host of the Johnnie Bobbo Show. There we go. And we might add a few more people. If people get me something, I'll be more than happy to add their pick and their analysis to the article. But for the listeners out there, come check it out. It's on thefantasygreek.com. Super Bowl 50 predictions, writers' picks.
See, it's not too late for you, Keith. You can still get your article over to Jim. Oh, it's a short post. You got time for that. I know it was your birthday and everything.
I'm on hiatus.
Yeah, good for you.
I've been on
Jim.
sabbatical, living in my monastery.
Oh, good for you. But no, again, Jim, appreciate you coming back on this year. This is fantastic. So thanks for coming by. And again, everybody check them out at the Fantasy Greek on Twitter and thefantasygreek.com. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, guys. Have a great evening.
Yeah, you too. You got it. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk to Francois VanCura of Cody's Q Celebratory Forties, the emo prince of the Midwest. He's going to debut Hurricane from humble beginnings of a Rovin Soul from 6'10". Check him out, 6'10", music1.bandcamp.com. And that's me right here on the Johnnie Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio and your Spreaker app.
See, I want you to slow far away. I know. Can't walk away from the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for them. Can't walk away from the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for them. No, no, no. Can't walk away from the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for them. Can't walk away from the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Awesome. We're talking. Welcome back to the Johnnie Bobbo Show on Late Night Sports Radio on your Spreaker app. Download this bad boy on iTunes because we do stuff. And it's what, a little Earth, Wind, and Fire first there, baby?
Yeah, rest in peace. Maurice White passed away today.
You got it. 74 years old. And on top of that, too, man, we had it was a rough day today. You know, our X Games guy went down. Obviously, the parents said, yeah, Dave Mira. Incredibly depressing because that's a guy that's, I don't know, a big part of my childhood, at least in growing up and watching the X Games and how cool all that stuff was. But let's have a celebratory 40 for the man here. Let's bring in our guy, Cody VanCura of Celebratory Forties. Check out that Facebook page. You want your band to get hooked up and played on the show, give him a shout out on that website. And Cody VanCura, how are you, sir?
You know, man, I've been really bummed about this whole Dave Mira thing. It broke my heart.
Yeah, no, that was, you know, between all the video games and everything else.
Dude,
and
absolutely. Like the Dave Mira games and the Tony Hawk games, that's how I got into most of my music as a kid. Without those games, I'd still be listening to, like, Puddle Mud or some garbage.
Oh, God. That's another story for us. We'll get into that a little bit later, but yeah, no, you're right on point with that, dude. You know what I mean? Where he was just kind of a staple of being a kid growing up in the 90s. You know what I mean? And even going into the 2000s there. So it's definitely sad news to have all that on. But it's dude, it's Friends Day. Okay? I think this is the 12-year anniversary for Facebook, so it's Friends Day. Do you have a lot of friends on Facebook?
I could have more.
Yeah, you could have more. I saw you were asking if people thought you were a hunk the other day. It wouldn't let me share.
I got some good responses.
Yeah, you must have some kind of fancy privacy setting on that thing. I couldn't share that post.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to change that for you. But, yeah, a lot of people thought I was a hunk, so got my ego boosted a little bit.
Yeah. Now, how about Bob? Bob, you got a lot of friends? Are you and Cody friends on Facebook even?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we're best
You
friends.
never like any of my posts, Bob. It's messed up.
I'm sorry. I do not like posts.
Well, could you throw me a like here and there every once in a while?
Yeah, I'll throw you a bone.
What if he pokes you? What is the use of that feature of Facebook? I can't believe they haven't eradicated it yet. Why is it still there? The poke.
I like it, man. It makes me feel popular and loved.
Yes, it's so you can try to get laid.
But you guys actually poke people? I've never used.
I'm a poking every day.
Oh man,
I poked my grandma the other night.
Bob,
you gotta get your poke on.
That's right.
Oh, speaking of grandmas, that was
No.
Your guy Bruce, man. He was dancing in the dark with his 89-year-old grandma the other night in Toronto. How fantastic!
Yeah, it was adorable. That's how we made that woman's life, dancing with the boss.
It's do you approve, Bob?
Of course.
Dancing with 89-year-old
He's
women.
brought his mom out on stage too. Yeah, Bruce is a family guy.
No, look at that. What a guy. What a stand-up guy. You know who's a stand-up guy? Mr. Tobin Bawinkel, our dude from Flatfoot 56, and he has his side project, 6'10". It's a 6 and then the little apostrophe 10. Check them out on Bandcamp, 610music1.bandcamp.com. And they're going to be playing a couple shows here. They got one coming up at the Beat Kitchen tomorrow night, February 5th. And then on Saturday, they're going to be at 115 Bourbon Street for Rachel's Wish. That's a fantastic benefit, trying to find a cure for JM. We'll get into what JM is a little bit later, but think of it this way. Unlimited beer, wine, pop, and food from 3 to 8 o'clock, only $30, 21 and up. If you're 6 to 20, $20. And if you're 5 and under, good for you because you're getting in free. And you shouldn't be listening to this damn radio show. So let me ask you, Cody, when it comes to Americana, that's I guess that's kind of how they describe themselves. What are some good Americana bands? At least that kind of stick out to you. Do you have any off the top of your mind that you appreciate or you kind of hold dear to your heart?
If you get to the real pure idea of Americana, the Boss is, the greatest example of Americana. Granted, the styles of music are completely different, but he's getting to the true heart and blood of what it means to be an American.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so 6'10", I guess they're going to be they're probably maybe a little bit more folky.
Yeah,
I guess in some aspects, but I mean, let's actually get to the song so we can kind of compare the differences a little bit, I guess, between Flatfoot 56 and 6'10", because there is a little bit of a change. There's still that Irish touch to it, which I love, because a little bit of brogue in the vocals, and I appreciate that. So we're going to get into that right here. We're going to listen to Hurricane off the 2014 release of the album Humble Beginnings of a Rovin Soul, and this is 6'10".
And the north wind hums, the east wind drums. Your smile stops the rain, and my thoughts they run with shallow ponds, which swells this hurricane. A peaceful wind wraps my ears in graceful sound, a whistle wind which calms my pain. You speak my name and calm the storm inside of me. Each day I change, you stay the same. And the north wind hums, the east wind drums. Your smile stops the rain, and my thoughts they run with shallow ponds, which swells this hurricane. All torn apart, this raft prepared just for me, a sinking hand beneath the waves. And you respond and challenge me to deeper things. So Rovin Soul, I am to say. And the north wind hums, the east wind drums. Your smile stops the rain, and my thoughts they run on shallow ponds, which swells this hurricane. And the north wind hums, the east wind drums. Your smile stops
And there it
Here we
is.
go. Na 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 na. Hey na 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 na. Hey na 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 na. Hey na 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 na.
And there it is. Hurricane by 6'10" from humble beginnings of a Rovin Soul. And I got a little excited there. Looked like a newbie at a concert, prematurely ending that
You
song.
clapped early.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Just, but I mean, okay. Let me get your initial reaction here, Bob. Right after hearing it, what was your take on that?
It had some elements of Bruce in it.
Yeah, I know. I want to know if you like it, Bob, because
I
I
do.
know you like Flatfoot, but that was one of those songs where the melody gets you. And here's the one shocking thing too. I think a lot of people don't get with what Flatfoot does in 6'10". They're a Christian rock band, and I don't think it sounds anything like any other type of Christian rock I've ever heard. It's actually that's quality music. You know what I'm saying? There's always a difference between the two. It seems like, and with them, it's just non-existent. It's just.
Well, are they really a Christian rock band, or are they a band motivated by Christ?
Ooh, that I would know. That is
getting deep.
Cody does get deep with us. You know what I mean? And this is something that they kind of preach about with the album is talking about. I guess taking you on a journey through the mind of a man. He's got to overcome issues of betrayal, unforgiveness, pain. This is all stuff that you've dealt with, Bob. I'm sure you can relate, sir. And it's just finding a way to at least find peace and strength through all those difficult stuff. I mean, I'm sure you got bills to pay. It's tough, man. You can't seem to hang on to that money as long as you like. People are breaking your heart. You can't use Tinder the way you want to. But hopefully you can find a band like 6'10" to help you get through some of those moments, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot more in depth than I probably would have gone with it. But yeah, they got a good sound. They're not they're not campy.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Not John Mellencamp.
No, not John Mellencamp.
Funny guy over there. They're not very cougary either, but let me let me ask you, Cody. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy, and I actually have listened to this album, even though I chirped quick on that one. It's good stuff, and I mean, what do you think would probably be the biggest difference between Flatfoot and 6'10"?
I don't know how familiar you are with Gaslight Anthem, but they're like not really like a punk band or rock and roll band. It's like a cross between the two. And then Brian Fallon, the singer, he went off and did a very similar project. So there's a big similarity between those two. So the energy is still the same. It's just different ways of putting out that energy. I'd say instead of like the full Irish folk punk. It's more just traditional Americana, like you mentioned earlier.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Like I said, the energy is still there, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and that's hard to find too. You know what I mean? When you break it down, you're doing a lot more acoustic stuff, and they got a lot of different people that kind of help them contribute to build that album. And it was a DIY project. So I mean, if you're with a record label executive, or someone, or love someone who is, and I know you liked what you just heard, you got to sign these guys up. Tobin Bawinkel, you can find him, Tobin at flatfoot56.com. Email him. He's their working manager. And I'd like to see some good things happen for him because he's doing good stuff for other people. He's got a show, like I said, February 5th at the Beat Kitchen here in Chicago, but then also has Rachel's Wish. It's a fundraiser benefiting the Cure for JM. That's going to be Saturday, February 6th, 3 to 8, 115 Bourbon Street in Marionette Park, Chicago, Illinois. unlimited beer, wine, pop, food, live entertainment. You're going to have 610. And also on the off chance, which is I guess maybe a newer project that started off. That's with our friend Becky. Absolutely phenomenal voice, and I love the way that they found a way to include her a little bit more, because she kind of came to the previous band, a little bit late. And so then they formed a new group, and they're finding a ways to get her awesome voice somewhere involved, because she really can kill it. And I like to see everybody do well here. They're going to be there. Same thing with Just Attitude. They're going to do raffles. They have sports memorabilia, gift cards, gift baskets. The wine pool, split the pot. It sounds like a place for Bob Sullivan, if you ask me. But what they're doing, they're looking for a cure for JM. And this is something where it's called juvenile mycotosis. And I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. That's why we call it JM, just to make it easier for everybody. But it's a disease which affects the body's immune system and attacks its own cells and tissues. It's pretty rare. It's absolutely life-threatening. It weakens your muscles. Results in skin rashes. And just some really tough things, you know what I mean? And you don't want to see things like that happen to kids. So they do have a crowd raiser page for that. So if you can't make it out, you don't live in Chicago, this is still a benefit that and a cause that you can support. So I please suggest you do so. But again, Rachel's Wish, check that out Saturday, February 6th, 3 to 8 at 115 Bourbon Street in Marionette Park. And we bring you on, Cody, to talk about some other different things. And, one of the things that's happening now here is the Super Bowl. How much do you care about the Super Bowl? I mean, has there been a halftime performance that you loved, or are you really happy that you're going to have Lady Gaga out there? She's doing a national anthem. She's going to do her little thing for David Bowie is going to be involved in all that. You're going to have Coldplay, Beyonce. You got to be excited.
I'm not a big football fan. I could care less about the game. I'm excited for Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be weird. She's going to bring a lot of probably weird showmanship to the national anthem. It's going to be a train wreck. I think she's going to make a mockery out of something. It's going to be weird.
And okay, yeah, no, I'm kind of worried about that. And I had posted a comment on the Celebratory Forties page where I just said, please don't. And I got a little bit of
and I edited that, and I said, please do. I want to see the ship go down.
Hey, don't you edit my content? Yeah, no, but I got a little kickback from some people that were like, why not? She's an entertainer, this and that. And I'm gonna give it to you, man. Like she does. Or at least has represented, kind of something that is sparking some waves rather than some of these other musicians that go out there. And she is setting some trends and kind of opening some doors for certain causes, which I think is great. But something like you're going to tribute someone during the national anthem at the Super Bowl. Let's just not do that. And then, okay, so it sounds like you're going to watch it though, Cody. Are you going to be watching this somewhere, and are you just watching for the commercials?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm also excited to see Beyonce. I'm not the biggest Beyonce fan, but the combination of her playing with Coldplay is going to be really bizarre.
I'm going to let you sick them back.
Watch it just for the commercials?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God. At least say that you're watching because you want to see Coldplay or something. The commercials are so fucking stupid and lame. None of them are good.
I want to see how weird it's going to be with Beyonce and Coldplay, but mostly I'm just excited to see some good commercials.
Yeah, you never see that. Unless a child dies in the commercial, it's not a good commercial.
Oh my God! Why does it have to go to that?
Because
that was
the best
the
commercial
theme last year.
That was the
there
best
were a bunch of
commercial last
commercials about kids dying.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, nationwide.
See, and it's the thing. I don't.
That was talking. That was dead.
I'm the guy that actually goes through and uses the commercials as if I normally would, as like bathroom breaks, beer break, food break. Do your thing, and I mean, here, listen. You're going to log on to the internet or Facebook later on or during, and you're going to catch all the damn commercials that you missed. You know what I mean? Everyone's going to tell you what they think was the greatest commercial. It's a big social media thing, which I'm kind of surprised because, maybe I haven't heard it as much this year as to years past, but it always seemed like there were people pre-releasing their commercials that were going to be played during the Super Bowl, and I thought that was a waste. I was like, why don't you put a little bit more production time into it and extend it into like pre-Super Bowl commercials leading up to the Super Bowl? You build up that hype. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It doesn't
I'm
really make
available
sense
for
to
marketing
release them
positions.
early.
I'll help anybody that needs any marketing strategies. I got thoughts over here.
I think they need to find, they need to find a way to offend homosexuals, women.
What the hell are you talking about?
No. You actually that sparks a thought in my brain. That's all you had to say. But I mean, did you see the positive? I mean, yeah, sure. There's a bunch of the Trump voters that are going through and didn't care for it much last year. But a lot of the blended family commercials, those were a major hit because I think there is a lot of people that's dealing with. I mean, I'm one, for instance, where I'm not a traditional family between me and my girlfriend and the kids that we have and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people out there that are kind of dealing with the same situation. So I think that's kind of a more relatable thing, and has been receiving a lot of positive support. I mean, Cody? You're open to all that kind of stuff. I mean, do you expect to see a little bit more of that this year, knowing how positively it was received overall last year?
I sure hope so. I mean, I think it's a lot more interesting to see, different and blended families than just pure white bread white families in every commercial.
There was actually I love companies that use their Twitter accounts properly, where somebody had complained to Campbell's about their commercial last year. That, this made me sick, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, I suggest you have some chicken noodle soup for your cold, dark heart, And it was funny, man. That was a good response. You got to appreciate stuff like that. And so, having appreciated things like that, how much do you appreciate the history that used to be the Smashing Pumpkins and now the William Corgan announcement of In Plain Song Acoustic Electro Tour with Liz Phair opening? It's 19 City Jaunt kicking off in March. It looks like, at least in this photo here, that perhaps he's lost some weight. He let things go a little bit there. But I mean, what's going on with Billy Corgan here? Starting off in Portland, March 22nd. Does this need to be done? He is being joined by Jimmy Chamberlain, which is pretty great, and Jeff Schroeder is going to be with him as well. But having an act like Liz Phair, Jimmy Chamberlain back with Billy or William or Billiam, whatever you want to call him, Corgan. How's that going to pan out? Is that something you're looking forward to?
I'm more excited to see Liz Phair than I am to see Billy Corgan. I can't even remember the last time Liz Phair did a full tour.
What do you like about Liz Phair? That was something where she meant a lot to a lot of people, but for whatever reason, even growing up in the era that I did, for whatever reason, I wasn't able to catch on to the Liz Phair hype.
I just have a weird thing where I love all those girls, like her and Alanis Morissette and Fiona Apple. I just have a weird fascination with all that music. I can't even explain it.
No, I got you. No, for sure. There's a little bit of appeal to that. That's some of your guilty pleasures, I guess. You know what I mean? Where I like Alanis Morissette. I'm a big fan of hers. It was kind of a tough go for Fiona Apple over the last couple of years, and we got a poor guy like here where Bob right now, as we're going through this conversation, his joints feel like they're going to explode. Elaborate, Mr. Bob Sullivan. Keep this out of the text box, not out of the green room, into the forum here. Why do you feel you're going to explode right now?
I don't know. I'm getting sick, I think. But yeah, they're not good right now. And it's not good, guys.
No, it's not.
I think I might need some muscle relaxers for my joints.
Cody, any help on that one or no?
You're on your own, Bob.
I'm on my own? Hey, answer me.
Wait, I'm not even sure I can't really make out what you're saying, Bob. You think Billy Corgan, his joints are going to explode, or your joints are going to explode?
My joints.
What's wrong with your joints? I don't. Are you okay?
I have no idea. I'm just kind of. Yeah.
Oh, this is getting uncomfortable for me.
what?
So,
You know what?
Speaking
I
of-
think I need some weed from what's his name? From Jim McMahon.
I would like to see that video of Cody being chased by Bob Sullivan in and outdoors, where Cody just keeps popping up somewhere else and Bob can't catch him. Like, I can see that. It needs to be filmed. But you know, kind of on a weird note here, Megadeth, they're doing stuff. New album, Dystopia, debuted number 3 on the Billboard 200. Doing stuff, man. You know, they shifted 49,000 equivalent album units in the week ending January 28th. Are you excited, sir, to see Megadeth back on the scene? What's your feeling about Dave Mustaine? He looks pretty sad in the picture that we see.
Yeah, you know, I think he might be the saddest man in metal, and not just recently. His entire career, like, he's just had it rough. I feel bad for the guy.
Did you see the same a documentary they did for Metallica when they went through, and you know, that was when they went through the change in with their bassist situation there. James he left, and then you know, they went through, got a new bassist, and they filmed the album about it in a documentary, and they kind of went through all that, and they went and, you know, they went back and they visited with Dave Mustaine, and was physically brought to tears about the way he exited the band Metallica, and about he always worked so hard just to, you know, live up to everything that they've done, and just never could. Yeah, you know, it's just kind of a depressing story for a guy. But I mean, are you excited to at least see him still doing stuff and trying to make it happen? Because I mean, Megadeth is pretty good. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily.
Yeah, they're part of the Big Four.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, you got that going on, and he kind of went through and detailed why the Rust in Peace, lineup didn't happen. That was a thing where I guess. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, buddy.
Well, no, so Megadeth main man Dave Mustaine interviewed in a recent episode of That Metal Show with Eddie Trunk on his podcast, Eddie Trunk Podcast. Check that out. And it kind of gone about, you know, how there was a Rust in Peace tour, you know, reunion that was going to be, you know, going on. We also with guitarist Marty Friedman, drummer Nick Menza. Was that something that you were maybe looking forward to? I mean, do you even really care about the Rust in Peace deal, or what's your take?
You know, we got into this discussion a few weeks ago about bands like Iron Maiden and AC/DC, and like they keep going on tours and putting out new albums, but they're never going to have another hit song, and they're never going to have a new song that people really want to hear. People are still going to go see them for the hits they made in the 80s, and like what they're doing now, putting out new albums and doing like these new, you know, special tours, it's just for diehard fans. You know, no casual Megadeth fan, they're going to rush out and get these tickets.
Yeah, but, you know, and another band that's making a comeback, I think you might be a little bit more excited about this than I, Deftones. A new album coming out, Gore.
You know, I'm not that big of a Deftones fan.
Really? And I am. Like, certain albums I get into, they maybe get a little bit different a little bit, but Chino, he's looking good. You know what I mean? He's kind of back in shape here, and it seems like I'm actually kind of excited to see him get back on the tour. They got a new single that came out off that album Gore called Prayers and Triangles. Have you had a chance to listen to it all, or are you excited about hearing that come out?
It's actually funny you mentioned that. I just started listening to Deftones for the first time a few days ago when my coworker put them on at work. And from what I heard, I like, so I'm going to check out the new album.
I mean, you have to be familiar with some of their other stuff. 'Cause, I mean, they have had, mainstream songs.
She was playing the hits for me. I was so unfamiliar with all of it. I was never really into new metal, but like they're one of the only bands that were able to like surpass new metal and continue on without being a joke, like bands like Korn and Slipknot.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something, Cody. We appreciate having you on, my little man. On Friends Day, it's an honor to have spoke with you. I would have rather give you a hug in person, but
hey, buddy. Before I go, could I take a minute to put someone on blast right now?
Do it.
All right. So couple weeks ago we talked to our buddy from The Wire, correct?
Correct.
A great guy that plays rules. Tonight, Mr. Gallagher was supposed to play there, and Gallagher bailed out. So, Gallagher, if you're listening, I'm sending this challenge for you. You want to smash some watermelons? Come on here, I'm going to smash your face. This is a challenge for you, Gallagher. You don't blow off shows with The Wire. You're a piece of shit.
I love you to death, Cody. Thank you so much.
Serious, that's so not cool.
Yes.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to put parental advisory. Gallagher is a piece of shit.
Yeah, man. Wow. I can't believe it. How's he going to stand up for a guy Chris Neville like that? That's what Chris Neville's not in time. He's out on vacation right now. Oh, that's weak.
Yeah.
That's weak.
Yeah,
Thanks for calling him.
I guess Gallagher couldn't take his old ass to Berwyn to break a few watermelons.
Dude, that guy's busting plenty of melons, but that's another story for a different day here.
Let Gallagher just ride his time out and die, Cody.
Are you sure it's not his twin? Is it definitely Gallagher? The Gallagher?
Yeah, it's the Gallagher.
Yeah, I like Gallagher. Yeah, the water. Yeah, I get you don't want to ruin an audience or whatever, but if you're going to pay for it once and he's not going to show up, you're going to pay. I mean, that's one of those shows that you have to see once before he dies.
I guess that's true.
It's pretty much.
I mean, if not for his not being funny whatsoever, just for the watermelon smash.
Yeah, because
he is not talented and he is not funny.
No, not at all. And I'm going to have to agree with you there. But
see, I need something like that, like a watermelon smash.
Some cheap way to make money. Well, real quick, Cody, we thank you, man. We're going to have to roll out the end of the show here, but we appreciate you coming on, dude. Good stuff.
All right, you guys have a good night.
All right, check it out. Like his Facebook page, Celebratory Forties. Do that stuff. That's our guy, Cody VanCura. Bob, real quick, man, you got a minute? You got anything to apologize for tonight? You kind of ripped on some people. I mean, you had your Super Bowl commercial hate, your advertiser hate, your hate for Mike, your hate.
Mike, no apology. Never an apology to them. They're probably nice guys, but they suck at their job, and they've been mailing it in for 15 years. I'm going to just say probably sorry to Keith and Johnny for the language at times.
That's okay.
Those are my apologies for tonight.
Okay, well, that's
sorry for not being drunk.
Well, that's good because I got plenty more thanks. You got apologies. That's a good thing. That's a good show when that happens. So we got to thank our guy Eric Edholm at Eric_Edholm of Yahoo Sports and 120 Sports. Check out his Shutdown Corner blog on YahooSports.com. Also does you get the 120 app. You can download the Football Fix Show. Does all sorts of things with that. With it, some 120-second video action for you. That'll give you a little something to listen to on the train ride. Also, Jim Saranteas, the Fantasy Greek of thefantasygreek.com, at the Fantasy Greek on Twitter. Appreciate his Super Bowl knowledge. And also, our guy, Cody VanCura of Celebratory Forties, emo prince of the Midwest, brought in the band, 6'10", Hurricane, humble beginnings of a roving soul. So that's what we gave a listen to. Check them out at 610music1.bandcamp.com. Keith Grieve, happy damn birthday to you, sir. You're a fantastic person for putting up with us. Appreciate it. 7sportsfans.com for that, man. 87 Sports Fans live right here on Late Night Sports Radio to listen to him. Bob Sullivan at The Bob Sullivan Show on Twitter, nocoastbias.com. And I got to thank everybody very much for listening, calling in, checking it out on your Spreaker app, downloading the show on iTunes, texting and tweeting. But you guys got to be sure to like that Johnnie Bobbo Show page on Facebook. So thank you very much, and everybody be good.